Hi, my name is Mike and welcome to my vlog about football in general and Burnley FC in particular. A vlog that this week got annoyed at Scott Parker's post-match comments on the radio and ended up on 606 because that's often the kind of thing that happens with me. Anyway, if you want to listen to 606, if you look at the one from Saturday, fast forward to 25 minutes 20 seconds, you'll hear these dulcet tones broadcast to the nation. Anyway, Clarets go down weekly 2-0. That's weekly as in without a fight, not just weekly. In a performance that made a West Ham side that lay one position above us and in the relegation places of the Premier League, made them look like a top half European qualifier. Yes, it was a terrible performance yet again in a crucial match. And I'm going to do something a little different this week. I'm going to go through and show you exactly where the problems are. Now, I hope, for the sake, I really hope that the YouTube algorithm doesn't capture or doesn't catch some of the video captures I've done. Hopefully they're short enough clips. I'm not going to trigger any copyright stuff. We shall see. But I'm going through some of the tactical problems, and I'm going to use Saturday's game as an example of that. I am going to also, well, I'm not really going to go into it too much, but it's a fairly toxic atmosphere. I was expecting the atmosphere on Saturday to be worse in terms of the frustration, the abuse, for what you want to call it, the loudness. I think that the turf as a whole has resigned, where Scott Parker hasn't. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I mean, there was the Parker out, there was the sack the board, there was the you're not fit to wear the shirt. Now, Jakob Larsson apparently reacted to part of it. I have no problem with him doing what he wants, reacting to abuse. There possibly was some more, shall we say, local or personal abuse from nearer, which I'm sat in the long side, so I'm not going to hear any of that. He may have reacted to that, don't have a problem with that. I thought that was fairly tame compared to what was possible, but Parker came out and made his comments afterwards, and that really angered me. But I'm not going to go too far into that, but I've seen some of the stuff online. Alan Pace says an interview on Football Focus, and then the Burnley ISA puts out a statement, which just shows where we are in terms of fan base, in terms of any kind of togetherness, whatever you want to call it. I haven't really gone too far into either of it. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, and I say this up front, I have no interest, as Oscar Wilde once said, I have no interest in being a member of any club that would accept me. I'm not a member of the ISA, never will be. Don't really want to comment on them too much. Don't want to comment on the Fan Advisory Board. Don't want to comment on the Clarets Trust. These are things that I have no particular interest in, apart from to say that, and I'm choosing my words carefully, which is something maybe Alan Pace might have done, but there are going to be a significant number of Burnley fans, whether they're affiliated with an organisation or not, who are waiting for the right moment to jump on them, those comments from Alan Pace, and deliberately misinterpret them for their own purposes. Some people have never got over the fact that ALK bought the club in the first place. We can talk about how they did it and all that kind of stuff, but some of it, in my opinion, from some people, it is fundamentally ingrained in the fact that Burnley are owned by someone who is not to their liking. Maybe it's because of their nationality. That comes up a fair bit. Often, as I mentioned last week, what comes up is their religion. There are, some may have felt their noses pushed out of joint because they had good connections with the previous owners and people who worked at the club, and those people are no longer there because of ALK. I'm being as diplomatic as I can put it. Anyway, all I'm saying is it's a fairly toxic, fractious thing at the moment, and lots of sides are not particularly painting themselves in a good light because they are beginning, as many do in this particular scenario in the state of the club, And when an organisation is like this, they are pushing their own agendas. That's a word I don't particularly want to use, but they're pushing their own agendas, their own... Is prejudices the right word? Maybe. Their own personal viewpoints, which are not necessarily to the benefit of the situation. And I think what's the word? Some people just want to watch the world burn. I think was the phrase. And there is a number of times where you can see people throwing petrol on a fire because it suits them to throw petrol on a fire rather than douse it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not taking sides because I don't care that much, to be honest. It's kind of interesting. I don't talk about things like, I've always said I want the manager, I can't wait for him to leave. I don't say I want him to be sacked. Part of the reason for that is I want him to be sacked is a phrase that comes across as I have some influence in the matter, which I don't. I want Scott Parker to be sacked. I want a Ferrari. I want a pony in a plastic rocket. I want. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make me sound particularly good. I want, like, some tantrum 3-year-old. So that sounds rubbish. That's why I say I can't wait for the manager to leave, because I have no influence over that. God help us if I did. Because if they're taking advice from me on who should be the manager of Burnley FC, then I won't pay for it. But anyway, so that's why I don't particularly take sides. I don't particularly do that kind of thing, because ultimately I've said it before, I'm just an idiot with an opinion and a camera. My opinion is no more important than anyone else. It obviously is a lot more correct than many. But it doesn't mean that my voice is louder or anything like that. Should I be listened to? I don't know. Not my decision to whether someone listens to what I say. Vlog, audience of one, remember? Anyway, so what have I done this week? Right, first up, I'm going to basically go through some of the play on Saturday. I'm going to show you some clips, and I'm going to talk over them and show you exactly what's going on, and you decide whether this manager's system is actually any good or not. Simple as that. First up, couple of caveats. First up, I've never done this before and I have no editing skills. There's your two caveats. It's been edited with a chainsaw. Okay, this is do not expect anything around production quality on this. I'm literally learning this as I go, and I apologise in advance for not being up to any kind of standard that could be called anything more than amateurish. I don't intend making a habit of this either, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of preparation, which I don't have usually. But anyway, so I'm going to go through some of the tactics stuff, and I'm interested to see what you think. Okay, so this is why we don't break at speed. You can see here the ball is cleared out of defence to the wing. Marcus Edwards is outside his defender, has the entire right-hand side to attack. He gets to the halfway line, steps back, killing the momentum. He then ignores Hannibal on the overlap and Florentino in the middle, instead playing the ball to Fleming, who passes it straight back to Florentino, who should have had it in the first place. And at this point, all the momentum and speed is lost. But West Ham show how it should be done straight away. They counter-attack to a player wide and in space, and despite being outnumbered in attack, the player takes on his fullback and almost forces a corner. Esteve gets the ball and passes it out to Pires, who instantly passes it even further back. Pires and Steve reset to almost the same positions, and Steve fires a hopeful ball forward towards Anthony, who actually runs away from challenging for it. The ball doesn't go anywhere useful. Could have gone long, could have gone down the wing. Instead it went inside. It was easy pickings for the fullback. Lots of people keep saying if we had a goal scorer it would solve a lot of problems. These two next clips show exactly why that's false. You can see West Ham attacking the Burnley box. There are 6 Burnley players on screen, the 4 defenders, a defensive midfielder, and on the right hand side racing back is Zian Fleming. We win back possession, and our centre forward is now on the edge of his own D and facing his own goal. So as Hannibal takes the ball forward, our main striker is starting from a position nearly 12 yards behind him. And this isn't the player's fault. Here is a later clip. We're looking to play out from the back, and picking up the ball just inside his own half is Lyle Foster. So what happens when Fleming does get the ball? Well, he's starting from behind the other two attackers. He runs into space and then heads away from goal, missing the opportunity to put a ball in for Anthony. He heads left and then shoots through a terrible position. Then Perez's overlapping run into space is completely ignored in favour of playing backwards, and Florentino lofts a cross in from a soft angle. But I don't blame him for this. He's not meant to be a creator. He's meant to be a finisher. Look at what happens next. He picks the ball up on the halfway line, and as players go forward, he has to go sideways, running down the centre line while the only runners are behind him. The ball doesn't go out to Walker straight away. It goes via Edwards with his back to goal, and therefore Walker is slowing down waiting for the ball, which goes inside, and Hannibal has to play it sideways. Eventually it goes back to Perez, and we've gained a total of 8 yards. Oh, set pieces, oh God, look at this one. 16 players in the final third of the pitch, and we play it backwards and sideways before Hannibal ignores the 10 yards of space in front of him and fires yet another cross in from a bad angle. Why not just put it in there from the first place? Here West Ham get the ball and Wan-Bissaka attacks the space. Crucially, so does Souček. Watch Anthony give up following Souček and hand him off to Hannibal to deal with, to give up a foul. 3 passes from halfway and West Ham have a free kick in a dangerous position. Jacob Brun-Larsen played wing for his country, plays wing in the Champions League, played wing under Vincent Kompany. This long ball out from defence to him playing in a centre-forward position. What the hell? In the second half, Lucas Pires was completely on his own on the left-hand side, being asked to play left back, left wing back and left winger. Here an attack breaks down and West Ham run into the acres of space, requiring Esteve to make a covering tackle. And finally, this is why our strikers don't score. This is the ball played out to Foster, out on the left wing. He passes inside to fellow striker Broja, who is heading away from goal. Our only player in a central position is Jacob Brun-Larsen, who is a winger, running into position to make a header. Why is a winger trying to make a header? Again, Perez on the overlap is ignored before a centre-back is tasked with getting a cross in. So there you go, that's my audition tape for the match of the day so far. And you can see the problem. You can see that players are playing out of position, that players are playing with their backs to goal all the time. You've got centre-forwards helping out the defence. You've got wingers playing centre-forward. You've got one player on the left-hand side being asked to play left wing back and left back all at the same time. This is the Scott Parker way. There is the system. I banged on about the system. This is why we don't score. Because it's just such a mess. There is no speed. Players are out of position. Where do you go? What do you do? I'm repeating myself all the time. But anyway, for all those who say I've got an agenda against Scott Parker and all this kind of stuff. Of course I don't have an agenda against Scott Parker. You don't even know what that means. What I'm saying is this is why he's failing. And this is why the players are failing. They're being sent out to fail. If you're playing Jacob Brun-Larsen through the middle, he's not doing that because he wants to. He's doing that because he's told to. And then he's going to fail. And then he gets the ire of the crowd because he's failing. He's being asked to do something he can't do. Who the hell plays a winger as a centre forward? And then his manager goes on the radio and says the crowd shouldn't be giving him abuse. Well, why don't you put him in a position where he can succeed and then maybe the crowd will give him support? But then I'm not paid to be a football manager, am I? Of the Clarets. If you enjoyed this, leave a comment below. If you want to, give us a like. And if you really liked it, could you give me a subscribe? That would be fantastic. Take care. Till next time.